first GenXers.
Not the NFL draft. They should have just stayed home.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Hey y'all, thanks Tech Teakers for letting us know. My bad, I forgot to unmute it. I'm Dark Lord 100 Double K. But yeah, we're gonna be talking some NBA basketball. Yeah, Memphis just 4-0. They're gone. Like everybody can blame John Morant, but I believe he played 3 out of the 4. The John Morant injury, but I believe he played 3 out of the 4. Uh, they played 3 out of the 4 games with John Morant, if I remember correctly.
It
So
has nothing to do with John Morant's injury. It has
no,
to do with the fact that they were outplayed.
yeah,
Period.
Oklahoma
Like
City is
it,
yeah, they're
yeah.
just a better team. Just
Oh,
like
I'm
Cleveland's got
I'm
the Heat down 3-0 right now. They're just the better team. Period. Yeah.
you're gonna see a weird little fat head poke his head in and out of here occasionally.
The puppy of the
Apparently
show. The
we have
puppy of the show.
disturbed his slumber, and so he's about to get kind of ornery.
So before
But
we
yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
that I mean, it's funny because I don't remember who said it, but it was one of the Houston Rockets players about the Warriors won the play in just to turn around and they're gonna lose to Houston. And it's like, nah, that was really Memphis with the second round of the play in Oklahoma.
I'm
Like
sorry to say it. The Warriors get at least 2 games. We may not beat the Thunder, but we get two. That's a 6-7 game series at worst. Like at worst. Like, but the Grizzlies, they weren't there. That's what happens when you fire your coach when you're the 4 seed and and precipitously fall after that.
that
Uh,
I mean, yeah.
yeah.
I
The
mean them and Denver.
Yeah, I was gonna say actually. Okay, I'll just go get to that one. Here's what's funny though. Denver's actually got what's turning out to be the best series of the thing right now. That finish yesterday was an amazing. for those of you who didn't see it, Denver and LA are pretty evenly matched, and they are just beating it out of each other
It,
for playing
it's
whoever
a
wants to play
hell
the
of a
Thunder.
series, though.
Yes, and last
It's a hell of a series.
tie game 99-99 with like 8 seconds left. I watched the finish of that game because the Warriors game was on right after it, so I watched the finish to it. And yeah, Jokic does his little thing, tries to go into his little bag, airballs a jumper right into Aaron Gordon's hands, who dunks it for the win. And even after what got me was this is as I was watching it, the announcers are going like there's no way that they could say that that didn't go in, and I'm like, well, this is the NBA here, so like you
Dude,
never
and,
know.
and all of these playoff series, especially the West playoff series, has been some of the most terrible officiating I have ever seen.
We can't.
Ever.
We
And that's saying a lot because, there's officiating where they were bought and sold and, all of that.
uh,
So, but I feel like there's been more overturned calls than there has been.
yeah,
Like it's been some terrible officiating. So saying that there is no way that they could say that that didn't go in, I mean,
yeah,
they,
they could have, they could
one would think, but they could
have.
have.
But so they award the win 101-99 to the Nuggets, evening up that series, and like I said, at this point, making it pretty much the best series of the playoffs so far. Because
Yep.
the team that had the opportunity to make their series 2-2 today, yeah. Here's
You
what's
mean
funny.
the team that lost their first game at home?
See, here's what's funny is I opened up my cell phone midway through that game. The game started at 12:30. I started cheap pop at 2. Opened up my cell phone midway through that game. Looked, and the Lakers were up by like 9 or something like that. I was like, oh, here we go. They're
Yeah.
about to even up
So
the
you
series.
must have opened it up either right before or right after the half.
Yeah.
No, right after the half, I imagine. Because the they were losing, and then they were tied, and then they were winning, and then, well, they lost
Yeah.
in glorious fashion.
Yeah, in
So,
glorious fashion.
yeah,
And
glorious
so,
fashion.
and here's what's funny is and this is I genuinely hope that the Timberwolves win this series, not just because I'm a Warriors fan, and of course, anytime the Lakers fall, that's always a plus for me. But in general, I want to see it happen because of who it's going to be to. Now, all I've heard from Lakers fans and LeBron fans over the last couple of years is, well, look at Ant-Man. Look at Ant-Man. Y'all say he the modern day Jordan. Y'all say he the modern day Jordan. Look at him. He can't even get out the first round. Can't even get past the conference championship. He ain't better. Jordan wouldn't
How
be better
many
than
times
LeBron.
did it take LeBron to do that?
Hold on.
Cleveland, hello, he had to leave Cleveland to fucking win. So let's just throw
But
that
but yet
out.
but yet here we sit with the guy that they call Jordan of the modern day and what Jordan would be in today's game. And look at what he's doing to LeBron's team with another star player. LeBron has a healthy Luka who's balling out. And they can't seem to stop Anthony Edwards.
They're
I'm
not
just saying.
gonna.
I'm just saying.
They
Like,
were double teaming him and they still could not stop him.
everybody said it going throughout this season, and this is going to be said a million times if the Lakers end up losing this series. Their defense has been their Achilles heel all season, even before the Luka trade, and adding the Luka trade just made their defense
Made it worse.
even more suspect. And
The
now we're
Mavericks had Luka last year and couldn't win the championship.
and it looks like Luka's going in the first round this year, unless they do something spectacular.
It's
Uh,
not. No, they're no. I think
uh,
that one home game is the only game that they're going to win out of this series.
I think this is over in
Period.
6, huh? They'll go back to
Yeah.
Minnesota. It'll be over in 6.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yep.
that brings us to our next series, which, man, if you watched that game yesterday, it's time to believe. That Warriors game, that was the Warriors. That was the Warriors right there. Just grit, grind, And as O'Malley just said about the damn officiating, like I believe, don't get me wrong, I completely believe in letting them play. I am all for let them play. But
Yes.
my God, the way they are allowing them to grab on Steph, to put hands on Draymond, to put hands on Jimmy.
But the second that Draymond responds, it's over. Like it.
What was it, last game? Dude hit Draymond in the face with his elbow. And I'm
Yeah,
sorry, that was on purpose. Dude raised his elbow specifically up to Draymond's arm, which is
that
why
was
he got a
not a
flagrant one for it.
basketball move, as they like to say.
Exactly. My dude said, right in the dude's mouth. And so it's one of those type of things where I'm just like, look, refs, like I get it. You want to let them play. But come on. What I'm really impressed with, though, is I'll be honest with you, is Steph. Like they said coming into this series, because Steph got held to 3 points in that last game against the Rockets to close out the season. And they were and the one thing every Warrior has said since then is it won't happen again.
Nope, it won't. And like they were talking about last night, he's literally, that man in a game is running 3.5, 4 miles up and
Yep.
down that court with the minutes that he's playing, the way that he runs. And I also agree with the other thing that they were saying is the fact that put some goddamn respect on that man's name. Everybody
Amen.
wants to talk about the crazy things LeBron is doing at the age of 40.
That's
Steph
only
is
37.
37.
Yep.
Put some respect on that man's name.
They won't do it, and they won't do it because of this. I'm glad you brought that up because I was actually having this conversation. It was with myself, but I was having it nonetheless.
Do we need to talk professionally outside of this? Are
I'm
we
spending a little too
are
much time alone, okay?
are we okay? Like
we're all right, but I'm just spending a little too much time alone. I need to go back to work. Oh man, but I'm sick and tired of this whole thing where people go, if LeBron had done that, if LeBron had done what Steph did, y'all would be all over him. Why aren't y'all over Steph? I just saw a video with Nick Wright the other day where he was talking about how don't worry if the Rockets lose, if the Rockets win, every Steph losing will just fade into the zeitgeist. Nobody will ever talk about it. And I'm like, okay, look, LeBron fans, y'all got to make up your mind because you can't in the same breath say that Steph Curry is nowhere near on LeBron's level and then ask why he's not judged by the same standards that LeBron is judged by. You either have to give one or the other up. You either have to admit that Steph's on LeBron's level, and that's why you're expecting him to be held to the same standards, or you have to let go of him being held to the same standards. One or the two, you got to pick one because you cannot
yeah,
have both.
yeah, but it's the same mentality that freaking has. Either he's fully responsible for the win or he's not responsible at all for the loss. You
True.
can't have it both ways.
Wait, right. You
So
can't.
it's no surprise that they have the same fucked up ass mentality as the player has.
Like it literally blows my mind because I'm like, dude, like how I thought he wasn't on LeBron's. Like it's the same. Like yeah. Anyway, I don't.
Yeah, but his fans are fucking delusional.
Delusional
So
is a
there's
light
that.
way to put it.
I'm trying to turn over a new leaf. I'm trying to be nice for now.
Oh, but I will admit it when I say that Steph is doing amazing things. Watching him play the game of basketball is so damn beautiful. That shot, and I will point this out. That shot that he hit in where was it in Houston, running sideways and just kind of chucks it up at this angle that made absolutely no sense to physics or gravity. And
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
but that.
Yep.
Nothing but that.
Even the shot that he got off that didn't go in but was considered a shot enough for him to catch the foul
Yeah.
off of it.
He-
His awareness is amazing. His body awareness is amazing. So
I
yeah.
think I think
And
that there's still a good 3-4. I think we could see Steph play till 40. I genuinely do. And if we do, I think that here's the thing about it. Here's where I've always told people that Steph Curry is different than most people, and this is why I say this. It's not because he's something special. The one thing that I've ever noticed when it comes to long term skills, when it comes to sports and athletics, is that most basketball players that had a jump shot when they were in high school, a really good jump shot, where like they went through like 40, 50, 60% of the time. That jump shot carried into college, that jump shot carried into, and even in their 50s, that form is so ingrained into their muscle memory that they can just, and they're still dropping
Boy,
dropping jumpers.
it's like how the conversation we had last time about Barry Bonds in steroids and his mechanics.
Yeah,
The steroids had nothing to do with his mechanics and his ability to swing and hit the ball. Maybe
right,
how far it went, maybe all of that. Okay. But it had nothing to do. That was all him. His
right.
mechanics were all him. The work he put in was all him. And we see that with Steph. And Steph has a very different shot if you
Yeah,
look at him. And he always has because that's how he's compensated for being a smaller guy.
exactly. He's always had to be able to hit those weird, odd angles because he's always going to the
That's
lane.
why he can shoot shots that defy geometry and gravity and physics and
Uh,
everything.
we
And
need we need a new. For those of you old enough to remember that are watching, we need a new Larry Bird, Michael Jordan commercial. If you remember those, the off the backboard, off the
yep,
steel beam,
yep,
nothing but
yep.
net. We need a new one of
Hmm.
those with Steph. I don't know if they've done it yet, but we need a new one of those with Steph and some other great 3-point shooter like Sabrina Ioscu or one of them.
Not dissimilar to the Odell Beckham Jr. uh, commercials that they used to have,
Didn't mean
where
to, man.
they throw the most insane passes and he just catch them one handed all the time, right? I agree. I would definitely like to see that.
Uh, like I'll say it like this: not many people have skills like what that man has, and not many people ever will. He's one of one in a generation full of one of ones with Kevin Durant and LeBron James and him and Kawhi Leonard. And it's weird to say a generation full of ones, but they're all unique in their own ways. They genuinely are.
And he's one where the second was actually better than the first.
Sorry, Dale.
Sorry, yeah, sorry.
Sorry,
Hate to
Dale.
say it.
Your boy has surpassed you in just about every possible
Yep,
way.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Nothing on him. It's just facts.
And he went. Sorry, your son went to a better team than you did. Like that those teams
Yeah,
that Dale
that's
played
part of
on,
it.
But you also got it now to cover the other series that we haven't talked
Wasn't a
about. Is
better team at the time though.
true when he got here. To cover the other couple of series, you got the Celtics who look like they're about to go up 3-1 on the Magic. They're up 96-92 right now in Orlando. But that's a good series with them up 2-1. New York. Shout out to New York. Stephen A. New York stand up 3-1 on the Pistons. They had a scare, but it looks
Well,
like,
that's
wow.
another bad call. Bullshit with
Yeah.
that today's game.
Oh my God. And then
And those make a difference because we're talking seconds
yeah,
and points, like within a point or two. That's
it,
not where you want to see a bad call happen.
here's the thing about it, and just to get into the discussion a little bit, I've always 100% been all about let them play in the last like 2 minutes of each half. Just let them can play because the game's moving so fast that people are going to make mistakes unless it's a flagrant foul or something like outright obvious like that. The little ticky tack fouls, just let them go in those moments. But the Warriors series, it's like they're letting them can play from tip to buzzer, and it's like, no, dude, you're out there to call fouls. Like that's a part of why you're out. That's part of why you're out there. That's part of your job. Like so please call the fouls. But just during those last 2 minutes, let same thing with football. I say the same thing. During those last couple of minutes of each half, just let them play. Let them play. Let them get a little rough with each other. But not all damn game. Not all damn game. You can't treat Steph like a cruiserweight.
And don't allow teams to poke and provoke Draymond Green the way that they do, and then have Draymond Green be the one that gets in trouble for it in the end. That's not right either, because if you're not going to handle it, at some point he's gonna.
Yeah, and that's just Draymond. That's just Draymond, period. So, then you got
the fact that he hasn't up until now is he's grown as a person.
That's what it is. He knows he's out there in the podcast world. He knows what the narrative is about him. And he's very much being cognizant of that and how he's acting, and I like that about Draymond right now. Like, he's letting himself go from time to time, and like, cause there was a couple of times where he went off on the refs. I saw it, but in general, he's definitely
he got a technical.
Yeah,
he got a technical for it yesterday.
He's not.
It still wasn't to the length of what he still has stopped himself to a degree. But I will also say. Yeah, and I will also say that the scuffle that happened the other night, who was it? Was it Van Vliet that he was whoever he was talking to, the issue didn't even start until everybody else gathered around them. Like, they were just in a heated discussion.
They were just jawing around each other.
It was the people that tried to just jump in when it wasn't their business that created the problem.
Now, you want to see a scuffle. That Nuggets-Clippers game saw a scuffle with James Harden, like, trying to challenge everybody out there, dapping people up. 100%. Like, but Pacers Bucks has kind of been a blah series, with the Pacers up 2-1. It looks like it's getting better with the Bucks bringing back Damian Lillard, so that could turn into a series similar to Nuggets Clippers. But it looks like the Pistons are about to run. It looks like the Celtics are about to run. Looks like Cleveland's about to sweep. So, yeah, we'll see. Young Rockets, y'all did good. Y'all got up to the 2 seed, but these Warriors just be too much. And if Jimmy Butler comes back, it's kind of over. I can't say much. So, all right. So we're going to pause right there. We're going to go ahead and take our commercial break. Be back in about 5-6 minutes. And then we will be talking.
6 minutes.
6 minutes, they'll get fresh. Anyway, and we'll be back to talk some NFL draft. We'll be talking Cam Ward going number 1. We'll be talking about what the hell happened with Shedeur Sanders. And also who the Niners picked up and how that might be able to help. How this draft class might be able to help. You're watching The Classroom featuring OMalley right here on twitch.tv or on YouTube, wherever you're checking us out. But you're checking us out on the First GenXers Broadcast Network. Peace.
This is now versus then. This is now versus then. Get on your mark, let's go. This is now versus then. Burning up your radio, still turning up the heat with Poetic on the flow. Got you moving to the beats with the Saint as your host. Shout out the collective, hold it down, we gon' clown, that's the lesson. Where Generation X meets Generation Next, with them bangers from the east to the south to the west. Yeah, this how we do it in Sacktown. Slide to the studio, yup, it goes down. These beats gon' pound, waking the game up, told you it goes down. And this is only the intro. Turn the mics on, shout out to my kinfolk. Where you at, y'all? Let's get this started. Turn down for what? We about to start the party. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. This is now versus then. This is now versus then. This is now versus then. This is now versus then.
You got to keep it. Keep it. You got to keep it lovely. You got to keep it. Keep it. You got to keep it lovely. Success comes right after the struggle. I ain't even giving up on whatever I wanted. The tragedies I've seen, I can't even stomach. Most of y'all weak as shit and would've started running. Every time I make it back to the crib, I'm thankful the Most High let me see all of it. Grateful I'm lovely, and I'm being real with this. Please don't judge me, I'ma stay on my shit. I'ma keep a grind mode button, push it, make it do something. No balls for me, cause I'm a loose cannon. I get to choose, camera, switch it up, look up a new banner. Keep smoking on that bama.
They say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But the definition of beauty is distorted. Yeah. Come on. Searching for yourself, so insecure about the way you look, so you go to Miami. You can't find the love within yourself.
and we are back. Thank you guys for joining us, all who are joining us on YouTube or Twitch. We appreciate you. Just know it. Now we're going to get into the NFL draft, man. Whoo, buddy. Let me tell you. And Tech Tinkers, thank you for all the support. We saw that. We're seeing you in the chat room. Let's see. So, top 5 picks in the NFL draft win as such. Cam Ward, quarterback for Miami, went to Tennessee. We all knew that was going to happen. Then shit got funny. Like, it's weird to say that, but one pick later, shit got funny as Cleveland traded back to the number 5 pick with Jacksonville. And, or did Cleveland already have the number 5 pick? Yeah, they swapped picks with Jacksonville.
There was a lot of swapping of picks.
Yeah. And took over the number 2 pick to take cornerback / wide receiver Travis Hunter from the Colorado Buffaloes. First one of Deion's boys to go off the board. We'll get to the other one in just a minute. That was followed by Abdul Carter, who went number 3, edge rusher out of Penn State. Will Campbell, tackle out of LSU. And last but not least, Mason Graham, defensive tackle for Michigan. He was a part of that whatchamacallit. And then just for a bonus one, we'll look at Ashton Gentry from Boise State, who went to the Raiders. And let me tell you, I think that's a good fit right there in Pete Carroll's system. I think that kid is going to flourish. I think we may see the next Josh Jacobs, except I think he's a step faster than Jacobs was when he came in his rookie year. All right, so let's start out with the Cam Ward to Tennessee pick. I don't know how I feel about it. Like I think he's I think, again, you have the number 1 pick. If you're not going to trade back, you have to take the best available player in the draft. Cam Ward was exactly that. But didn't they draft somebody like last year? Who was their quarterback last year? Like, didn't they draft somebody like last year or 2 years ago that finally made the starting lineup last year? Like, and y'all are already drafting another quarterback? Like, I don't know.
Next up, I mean,
maybe it's the Dan Orlovsky style of GMing. I was watching First Take the other day, and Dan had me dying. Not because it was a bad take, but just because it reminds me of people talking about talking when they're playing franchises in Madden, where he's like, "You draft yourself a quarterback this year, right? Draft him top 5. I don't care. And 3 years from now, you don't like him. He's not working out for you. Draft another one." He's like, I don't see why we have this whole thing where, you got to invest and take time in this kid. Draft another one. And I was just like, that's kind of cold. That's some shit we would say when we were playing our Madden franchise. Like, yeah, dude, yeah, I know I just drafted this dude 2 years ago, but there's this other kid I like that I want at the top of the draft.
I mean, a lot of people said that about like Caleb Williams last year. Like, you get these once in a generation talents. I'm not saying Cam Ward is that. That's not what I'm saying. But like, it didn't matter if you needed a quarterback. If you had that number 1 pick, you're picking him up. Like,
It blows my mind though, because it's just like I guess that's kind of how talent gets dispersed around the league, is when people give up on talent. You know what I'm saying? On players that they took at the number 1, number 2 spot before they really flourish. Like Jamarcus Russell, the Raiders gave him long enough. That was a bust. Period. But in general, most of the time, if you're drafted in the top 5 as a quarterback and at that key position, you normally end up, if you stick around for long enough, you normally end up being a pretty decent. Sam Darnold, look at him now. I'm not saying he's worth being one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, but he's definitely turned out to be a lot better than what people gave him credit for 2
Baker
years
Mayfield.
ago. Baker Mayfield, yeah. Now, for every Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, there is a Johnny Manziel. So, just saying. Well, and that was the other thing too.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug, dude.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I mean,
but no, what I will say is this, and this will lead us into the conversation that we were just having off air again. Johnny Manziel is, to me, the closest comp to Shedeur Sanders. Johnny Manziel had talent. Johnny Manziel was not an untalented quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. He had some questionable immeasurables, but in general, he was not a bad quarterback. But his attitude His attitude, Johnny Manziel is the number one, is either the 1, 2, or 3 pick in the draft that he's in. If Johnny Manziel had a more humble attitude, easy.
Yep.
That
Yep.
talent level was there.
Absolutely. And
And that,
better off-field behavior.
yeah, and and that brings us to the 5th round pick and 6th quarterback off the board, Shedeur Sanders. Why do we jump to him? Because basically, unbeknownst to him, his father, and everything else, his fall from grace would become the story of the NFL draft.
Poor Cam Ward. He's the number 1 draft pick, and literally the only quarterback that they are talking about is Shedeur Sanders.
Yep. Because after he didn't go, everybody expected, okay, if Cleveland didn't take him at 2, when Cleveland traded back, they were like, okay, maybe Cleveland's going to take him at 5. Or no, maybe New York's going to take him at 3.
Maybe the Saints are going to take him. The Saints need a quarterback.
Yeah. Every quarterback team came up and went away. Came up and went away. Then we had, and this is what I loved watching the draft. This is why I love the NFL. They're amazing storytellers when it comes to the draft stuff. Then they go and they point out the fact that Pittsburgh, the next team that they think he's supposed to drop to, the team that everybody's been saying is most likely to take him in the 1st round, right, is sitting at number 21. Where was Aaron Rodgers taken? I believe at either number 21 or 22.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's making the comparisons.
Yeah.
And then Pittsburgh goes defense. Then the story on every news outlet, ESPN, all of it is, why wasn't he drafted in the 1st round? Why wasn't he drafted in the 1st round? He'll get drafted tomorrow. All the experts say he'll get drafted tomorrow. Cleveland has 2 picks in the first 5 picks of the draft. He'll get taken tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah. Rounds 2, 3 go by. No Shedeur Sanders. Cleveland had like 5 picks in those rounds too. No Shedeur Sanders. Finally, I think it was at pick number 155 in the 5th round. Shedeur Sanders is finally picked with the Cleveland Browns' last pick of the draft.
I mean, he could have at least at that point been picked by a better team. Sorry. But, I mean, that's at least the one perk of not going the number 1 draft pick. You don't go to the Cleveland Browns, right?
Man.
But here you are in the 5th round, and you still end up with the Cleveland Browns. So
you know what's hilarious, though? Is if Cleveland had stayed put at 2, Cleveland could have had Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah?
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm glad that they took the Mason kid from Michigan because I love that kid. But they could have had them both.
And he didn't. Travis Hunter didn't want to go to Cleveland because Cleveland wasn't going to play him on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
And he was actually very clear to teams in a respectful way.
Yeah.
Please do not draft me if you are not going to play me on both sides of the ball.
Yep. 100%. And that's all it took because I don't blame the kid. I think he's going to find it hard. I think he's going to find it extremely difficult to play both those positions. I won't say full-time because there's no way he can play them both full-time. Like, he's not
going to play him the way he did at Colorado for sure.
He's not going to be taking 60 snaps on the offensive side and then another 40 on the defensive side. Like, no. Like he'll be lucky to have a package or 2 for him a game on the defensive side of the ball where maybe he's a slot corner or something like that, and then a couple of packages for him on the offensive side of the ball. With his size, I pretty much see that Jacksonville will probably use him more on the offensive side of the ball than on the defensive, but they could use help on both. So he could probably be your second corner and then your number 1 receiver. Because his talent level makes him instantaneously the number 1 receiver in Jacksonville. No offense to the other guys on the board in the receiver room, but his talent level makes him that. So
facts is facts.
Yeah, he'll be the number 1 receiver in Jacksonville. He make him the number 2 corner. Let the kid do his thing. You know, people said you couldn't play two professional sports at the same time, and look at what Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders did. And we're good at both.
Yeah,
like we're really good at both. Dion went to a World Series with the Atlanta Braves. Like
Yep.
people forget that Dion is one of the only athletes in the world to have ever played in a World Series and a Super Bowl.
And a Super Bowl. Yep.
And came very close with that Braves team to having a World Series and a
Yep.
Super Bowl. So,
Yes. Yes.
so it
Yes.
doesn't surprise me that if Travis Hunter ends up being pretty good, he ends up being pretty good. Now let's get back to that Gentry to from Boise State going to Pete
Genty.
out there in Oakland or Genty,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
which was
I
another spot they thought Shador Sanders was going to land behind Geno Smith.
Yeah, but apparently that's another team that Dion himself may have put his foot in his mouth
Yeah.
after by calling up the word is he called them up personally after something and like went off on them about a decision that they had made in the off season or some shit. So and I don't know that's supposed to be from a Raiders insider.
Yeah.
I don't know how accurate it is because we hear stuff like that all the time. I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah.
I mean, it does sound, but if it is true, that's part of the concern that people were having to begin with.
Of dealing with him.
You
in
are
general,
not doing. This is where you get into some LeBron territory. You're not doing your son any favors at this point. Because I think that the biggest question is his coachability outside of being coached by his father.
by his father.
He
Yep.
has not been coached really by anyone but his father. And so there are some reasonable questions. As far also, it's a lot easier for his father to manage the attitude that he created than another coach.
Exactly. Pops can go, hey, boy. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it snaps right up. But
Pops can knock him around and no one's going to think twice about it. And there's also a different level of respect that one has when the coach is your father versus someone that you were damn near making as much money with as in the NIL. And that's the other thing that we're going to start seeing is the players that are becoming harder and harder to coach because of the money they were already making coming into the league.
Yep. And that, yeah, I agree with you 100% there. I think there's going to be a lot of players that are going to be coming in with these attitudes that are going to be thinking that they're bigger than life when it's like, well, you know what? I'll say it like this. I look forward to the welcome to the NFL tape. Because those veteran guys don't play, and when they get their moment to give the rookie his welcome to the NFL moment, they're going to take it. So
Right.
I can't wait to see that tape.
Because money is one thing, talent is another. Like,
Yep.
yeah, you were making money there, but guess what? We're making that money and more
Yep.
here.
We grown
You're
men.
you're yes. So there's that. I just really don't like the other narrative that has been being pushed around Shador's
Oh,
draft fall.
the
It-
racial, yeah,
yes, that it was racially motivated when
nah. Some people
you
have
know
a
it
tendency to go there when that's not necessary. In the sense of like, this had nothing. Like I understand. Like it's kind of like how people look at it the same way they look at the whole LeVar Ball situation with LeVar Ball and people saying that LeVar Ball hurt his son's images in a way because of how he acted. And people are like, no, he's just being a good father and out there rah-rahing his kid. And they kind of look at Dion the same way. But I'm like, nah, look, this had nothing to do with black fathers being black fathers and people punishing them for it. This had to do with a kid feeling himself a little too much. And him not necessarily needing to be humbled and that being the message that was given by the teams, but him needing to be humbled and that's the message being given to him by the universe.
and being concerned that that was an all over character flaw that may or may not be addressable. We're going to find that out real quick here about that. And it goes back to that's part of the stuff when we talk about coachability, right? And then you have the incident coming out with how he was with the Giants in their interview and the fact that he was unprepared. They called him on it and he basically didn't give a shit and he was kind of a dick about it. And so we could say, well, he did it on purpose, he did this, he did that, but the problem is also teams talk, personnel talks.
Oh yeah.
This stuff gets around
Yep.
no matter what. And so there does become, this is where talent and coachability go hand in hand,
Yep.
because it's not that he didn't have the talent, but is
He's
his
the second best
talent
quarterback in the draft.
enough to what we may or may not have to put up with here?
And that's why I
And
comp
will
him with.
he be able to grow past where he's at if
Yeah.
he's not coachable?
And that's where the comp to Johnny Manziel came in. Is
Yeah.
that Shador can write his story to be something completely different than Johnny Manziel by humbling himself and becoming very coachable when he gets there.
I mean, quite
Okay.
literally, he ended up at
Or-
the same
or-
fucking team.
Yeah. And so he can write himself a different story. But those are the same issues that effectively ended up drumming Johnny Manziel out of the league. Like, Johnny Manziel's not playing anymore. Why is Johnny Manziel not playing anymore? Because Johnny Manziel thought a little too much of Johnny Manziel and didn't put enough work into being the Johnny Manziel that he thought he was in his head.
Part and it's not knocking a kid's confidence. Be confident, okay? But there is a point where, especially when we're talking about through an interview process,
Yeah.
okay, where you should be putting your best foot forward. And so there is a thought process that goes, if this is what we're getting in an interview before the draft, what are we going to get if we draft him?
And this is also a problem with allowing with hype in general. Like it hype is a good thing at times. Hype, getting hyped up can get you through some hard times, but being too hyped and buying your own hype can bring you down just as much
Yep.
as it can lift you up. So
Don't drink too much of your own Kool-Aid.
right.
Like,
Always stay humble when it comes to yourself. Like, and
Yep.
so I think it cost him. I think he learned a large
at
lesson.
least show that you have the ability to, because that's the other thing, because that's where that question comes in. If you're in a situation where you should be your most humble self, and you should be, I mean, not saying that you should be downplaying yourself, but you should be respectful of the people who are interviewing you, and be prepared in the interview. That's a huge thing. If I show up to a job interview unprepared, do you
Unprepared,
think
yep.
I'm getting that job?
Nope.
Okay?
100%.
Because the thought process is if you can't come in here in an interview and be prepared in here and show us in here that you're coachable in a situation where this is the one spot you should be doing that in, I'm going to go ahead and go on the assumption that you just don't have the ability to.
And that would be a fair assumption.
And I'm not saying that he doesn't, and I'm really not knocking the kid. I think it was kind of messed up, the prank call that happened, all of that stuff.
Did
that
you-
ended up
did you
being
hear it
the
ended up
son of a
being-
defensive
Yeah.
coordinator from
Jeff
Atlanta?
Ulbricht's son. Jeff Ulbricht's son,
Yes.
Jax. Yeah, ended up being
Yeah.
him. That was crazy.
Yes.
I was
And
like, what?
That was kind of messed up. I will give it that. And I really, what I said all along is, I honestly think this could be the best thing that happened to him, was not being up there. It lights that fire for him, and it takes some of that pressure off. Other than the pressure, hopefully, he puts on his own self to go out there and prove everyone wrong, right?
The odds are good
I
between
think that-
go ahead. I would say between Deshaun Watson and Joe Flacco, he's not going to see the field during the regular season this year. He probably will during the preseason, but he's not going to see the field during the regular season. So he has time to go home, sit, learn, watch, learn from one of the best quarterbacks, a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Joe Flacco. Pick his brain for as much as you can. Do everything but go out for massages with Deshaun Watson. I want to say, other than...
No, let's not even, no.
No, not
Stay
even.
away from Deshaun Watson, because Deshaun Watson also has really shitty work ethic.
Yeah.
and he's one that's refusing. I'm not going to run the ball. I'm not going to do this.
Oh man,
Guess
he
what? If
killed me.
somebody's paying you gajillions of dollars, you're going to do what they say.
You're gonna do what they say.
And it's not going to be long if Deshaun Watson and or Joe Flacco are not producing for Cleveland the way the Browns fans think that they should be. Next man up.
Yeah. Well, I think for Cleveland, they're in a bad situation because of how big of a contract
Because
they
of
gave Deshaun.
yes.
Like
And
you
all
can't.
of it guaranteed, you dumbasses.
Yeah. So like you're locked in with Deshaun until that contract is over. Like period. Like you're locked in with him until that contract is over because there's no way you're paying $50 million to somebody to sit on the bench. There's no way in living hell you're giving that much money to somebody to sit. Now, don't get me wrong. I could be wrong because I said the same thing about Jimmy
he even
Garoppolo,
gonna be
but I
healthy
didn't
enough
see
to
Brock
start-
Purdy coming.
But is he even going to be healthy enough to start the season?
No, I believe that Flacco will probably be starting the season, so there'll be a chance for
didn't he
Shador.
re-injure?
Yeah,
Didn't he re-injure?
as far as I know, yeah, he should be out for the first few games of the season. So like I said, Shador may have a chance, but I know that Joe ain't
Joe
go.
Flacco's like 83 years old. So Shador, just wait your turn. It's gonna happen. Look at what happened with Brock Purdy. Okay.
Again, I was just
Brock
saying,
Purdy,
like,
that's all I gotta say.
could be
Brock
wrong because
Purdy.
I said that they wouldn't sit a $27 million a year quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo on the bench. But then again, no, I didn't see Brock Purdy coming. What I meant is they wouldn't sit him on the bench for Trey Lance, but like for an
That
experiment. But I didn't see Brock Purdy coming. So
And
once
they kind of had no choice by the time they got to Brock Purdy.
you know,
I mean,
shoot, they're like, all right, Brock, suit up. Brock's like, what? Suit what?
I didn't do my homework last night.
All right. So just real quick before we finish up the show, I wanted to run over the 49ers did a lot of drafting on the defensive side of the ball, starting with an edge rusher to start. They got 2 D tackles. They got a linebacker, a cornerback, all in the first 4 rounds. So they were definitely looking for the better talent on the defensive side of the ball. They got themselves 2 wide receivers, a safety. They did pick up a quarterback, Curtis Roke, in the 7th round, and they got themselves 1 offensive lineman. According to Mel Kiper, they addressed all of their needs except for O-tackle and center. So, and they did sign 5 undrafted free agents as soon as the draft was over.
That's the other thing. Shiloh Sanders got signed as an undrafted free agent to Tampa Bay.
Yep.
So both kids
Ended up in the NFL.
Yep.
But neither were top 5 picks or top 10 picks or up there at the top of the list. But hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles. We'll see what both Shiloh and Shador bring to the table in the coming years. So.
Shador, just go have some more conversations with your buddy Tom Brady. Okay, he'll kind of get you right, because that's another one, right? Yeah. And look at where he was drafted and look at what he did. So, it's not the end of the world, and how you handle this will prove someone's point at the end of the day.
100, one way or another, it will prove somebody.
Have it be your point that gets proved, not personnel.
Here's what I've always said, and this is funny, is that what you want them to say is this: is if you were drafted low, you want them to say if they
wrong.
Yes, if we redid this draft, you would take you number 2.
Yep.
We would take you with our first pick. That's what you want to do. And you want to just keep your head down and focus and do that. I think his father can help humble him like that. I think this was humbling for Dion as well.
Is his father the right person to humble him?
I think in this particular case, yes. Because I think this was a big humbling thing to Dion too. I think Dion realized not that his son wasn't good enough. I think Dion still believes his son should have been taken in the first round no matter what, because that's what a father's going to continue to believe no matter what actually goes down.
Right.
But I think it humbled him in the sense of, well, okay, maybe we handled this a little differently, and maybe we need to approach this a little differently. But you're in the league. You made it. You were drafted. Let's celebrate that for the moment. And then tomorrow, let's get to work.
Yeah.
You know, because now you got to go prove him wrong. You know, and I think Dion is the perfect person to motivate his own son down that path.
Yeah.
So, but that being said, I want to thank everybody that tapped in on YouTube, Tech Tinkers. We appreciate all the love you showed. Thanks for showing up. And to everybody else who showed up on either YouTube, First GenXers, Double KK Double Network, or on Twitch on the First GenXers page, we shout out to you. We love you. And Heather, can you close us out, man?
Fuck LeBron. And Bronny's 39 seconds that he got in the, not last night, but the last loss that they had when they just finally took everybody out. And
I'm surprised that he's even on the playoff roster. That's yeah.
Surprised he was even suited up.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
But all right, y'all. Have a great Sunday. We'll see y'all next week to talk more NBA playoffs. And I'm pretty sure MLB will do something interesting between now and next week. If not, we can talk playoffs all day long.
Yep.
Because hopefully we'll be talking about a Lakers loss. No, I didn't say that.
No, yeah, he did. He totally said it. I co-sign it. That's what we think. That's how we feel. And come at
the Warriors.
me. There we go.
All right, y'all. So we'll see you next week. Y'all take care. As far as where can you find me next, I should be back on Tuesday. What's coming up next should be Saint with another episode of Now versus Then. And yeah, stay blessed, y'all. Peace.